It's been a while, hasn't it? Because I couldn't be bothered to do them last week. But let's recap week number 30, because I was pretty proud of myself with that Monday night prediction of Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Am I right, ladies? Am I right?
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Who am I kidding? There's no ladies watching this crap. So welcome back to week number 32. If you're new here, I think you'll find my predictions to be quite usually wide of the mark. If you're one of the regulars, welcome back. It's midweek madness once again in this Sky Bet Championship, and let's try and get some more predictions right. I did all right, as I say, in week number 30, but I do, as always, have this golden rule that I have to stick by because I am a blindly loyal Oxford United fan, and therefore, when I'm doing predictions, Oxford always win. And it's a big week in the world of Oxford United Football Club. A massive week. And I tell you what, it's already feeling like brown trousers time. But let's not delay. Let's get into it. And we take a trip to Coventry to start this round of predictions off with Coventry City versus the Queen's own Park Rangers. Both these sides sitting in mid-table, but both these sides know they are only a couple of wins away from getting in, or could even get into the playoffs with a couple of wins. Coventry have been really good under Frank Lampard, notwithstanding that Leeds game where Leeds really took them apart, should have won by more than the 2 goals they got. QPR returned to winning ways as well. And one thing about QPR is they really don't lose many games. But I just fancy Lampard's Coventry in this one. I just think they're just going to have a little bit too much for QPR. It's not going to be easy because it never is against those Rangers. And I think Coventry are going to nick it. Coventry City 2, QPR 1. Grab your peanuts and snacks, folks, because we're off to the baseball ground because it's Derby County versus Oxford United. Undoubtedly the biggest game of this midweek round, I'm sure you all agree. And it is quite simply a huge game between two of these sides that got promoted from League One last season. Let's start with Derby County. Sacking Paul Warne on the eve of the Norwich game. I think we all expected it to happen, but I don't think anyone expected it to happen on the basically just as about they were about to step on the coach and head across to Norwich.
Not a great plan.
And despite it being a bit of a smash and grab, they did get a draw in that game thanks to a late penalty. My goodness, it must be nice to get awarded a penalty in a game. Because we haven't had one yet this season, but maybe this game is where Oxford finally get their penalty. So we don't know who's going to be in charge of Derby County for this game. They are targeting John Eustace and trying to pay a lot of money to prize him away from Blackburn. That would be a fantastic appointment if they could get him. But are they realistically going to get him? So we don't know. It could be the assistant managers, it could be the caretakers still in charge for this game. But Derby know that this is almost like a must-win game for them up against Oxford United. It's a game they will be fully expecting to win. But they are coming up against an Oxford United side that are difficult to beat under Gary Rowett. And I know we tasted defeat for the first time in the league against Burnley last week, but that was probably not surprising. If you believe in curses, Gary Rowett did win Manager of the Month for the month of January, so that almost certainly means that United are going to lose this game. It's a real worry, and I'm very worried we are going to be facing a very resurgent Derby County side in this game, and I'm very worried with the way Oxford look pretty toothless going forward, particularly in away games of late. But maybe it's time, as I said, for us to get that elusive penalty. And if Oxford can win this game, it will give us a huge, monumental step towards safety in this championship season. And you know that I have to back it because it is my golden rule that my boys are going to go up to Derby County and win just like they did last season at the start of that League One campaign. I'm going for the same scoreline. Who knows? Maybe Mark Harris will get the goals as well. Derby County 1, Oxford United 2.
Are you serious?
Portsmouth versus Cardiff City, and it's another massive relegation 6-pointer at at Fratton Park. Portsmouth, how they didn't get something from that game against Sheffield United, I will never know. They battered the Blades, but they still came away with absolutely nothing. Josh Murphy was immense in that game, and it just made me even more sad, not just to see him on the losing side, because I wasn't too disappointed about that, but it just makes me sad about how much of a difference he could have made to Oxford United if he would have stayed at the Kassam Stadium. But Portsmouth are a much better side than they are at home, and they'll be thinking if they can take that performance, if they can take it that they did against Sheffield United and put it into this home game against Cardiff, then they should be able to beat the Bluebirds. But if is a big little word, isn't it? And Cardiff have certainly proven that they are no pushovers in recent weeks, coming through an amazing game in the FA Cup as well against Stoke City at the weekend. And I just feel that as much as Portsmouth want this win, Cardiff are going to get something out of this game because they've got that uncanny knack at the moment of just refusing to lose. And therefore, I'm going for my Desmond of the weekend. Portsmouth 2, Cardiff City 2. Watford versus Leeds United. Well, a lot of people will be just thinking that the Leeds United bandwagon will roll down into Vicarage Road and get another win as they continue to flex their muscles at the top of this Sky Bet Championship table. But Watford proved that they are no pushovers in that draw that they got at the Stadium of Light. And they'll probably be annoyed with themselves that they didn't come away with all 3 points at the weekend. What a stunning strike by Loser. He certainly proved that he was no loser. My goodness, I'm so funny with that amazing strike, but it didn't get Watford the victory. But they're such an unpredictable side. You never know what Watford is going to turn up. Usually they do turn up at Vicarage Road, but I feel that Leeds are just going to be a little bit too strong for the Hornets on this occasion, and I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but Leeds will come away with a victory and continue to march towards promotion. Watford 1, Leeds United 2. Norwich City versus Preston North End. It was a huge opportunity missed by Norwich City by not getting that victory over Derby. They dominated the majority of the game. They did not really carve out enough clear-cut chances. They got a good goal by Josh Sargent, USA, and all that. And the fact they've got Borja Sainz back in the lineup for this game, or he should be back in the lineup, just makes me think that this Norwich side is going to have too much for this Preston side. But really, Norwich will still be kicking themselves because they knew that if they got 3 points and then if they'd have backed that up with another 3 points in this game, they virtually would have been in the playoffs. And you can't rule out the Canaries from getting into this playoffs at the end of the season because it is really up for grabs, certainly those last couple of spaces. And for what I've seen for Preston, the scoring goals just continues to be the problem for Heckingbottom's side. They played out 120 minutes against Wickham and couldn't stick a goal past them. Ended up going through on penalties, but I just feel this is going to be a bit of a bridge too far, certainly after going through extra time at the weekend as well. And I think Norwich are going to run out winners. Norwich City 2, Preston North End 0. Moving on to Wednesday then, Bristol City versus Stoke City. Bristol City is such a weird side. Fantastic rearguard performance against my beloved Oxford United. Very frustrating that Oxford couldn't get the win in that game. Bristol City played the majority of that game with 10 men, still came away with a point. And then they go and play Swansea at home. You'd expect them to kind of blow the Swans away, currently losing 1-0. I'm still filming this as that game is going on. So it just shows you how Bristol City just know games easy. You never know what you're going to get, and they rarely go and blow a side out of the water and get a big win. Usually wins are quite tricky to come by, and that's kind of what leaves them outside looking in of the playoffs rather than inside looking out. And I don't think they're going to get a victory against this Stoke side. This Stoke side, again, very tough side to play against. They don't lose many games. Usually if they don't get many wins, they've usually been quite hard to beat. And I think they're going to get a draw in this game, much to the frustration of the Robins fans. I think this one's going to end up all square. Bristol City 1, Stoke City 1. Burnley versus Hull City. I've got nothing against Hull. I like Hull City. I think they've improved a lot under Ruben Sellers, and I think they look an excellent side, particularly on the road where they've been picking up a lot of wins, not least that impressive win over Sheffield United. But can they do it at the fortress of Turf Moor? Some people said it's not a fortress, it's a library. I think that's been a bit harsh on libraries because usually they're a little bit more entertaining. At least you can find something entertaining to read in a library at Turf Moor. Yes, it's not particularly entertaining, it's not particularly stylish, but I tell you what, they are virtually impossible to beat and virtually impossible to score against. And as much as we don't like it, you've got to give them credit, because they did it again in the FA Cup. They even beat my beloved Oxford United by 1-0 as well. So they'll find a way to get a goal, and then they'll hold on to it. There's not really too much more to say, and if that ends up getting Burnley promotion, you have to take it, and I'm sure they certainly will. But I'll tell you what, Burnley are
boring,
but they won't really care because they'll get another victory here. Burnley 1, Hull City 0. Plymouth Argyle versus Millwall. Every game now for the Green Army feels like it is going to be must win. But that is easier said than done in the Championship. It will certainly feel like must win for the games at Home Park. And they'll certainly be eyeing this one as a chance of getting their first win under Miron Muslic. But that doesn't mean they'll get it. As much as that'll be a very good atmosphere at Home Park, it doesn't mean they'll get it. And it certainly should be no guarantees against the Millwall side that are ridiculously stubborn, hard to beat, usually don't lose many games, and usually keep games tight. And I just can't see anything other than this being a draw, really. I just think Alex Neil's men, they might fall down in this game, but I think they'll come back. I think more likely is they will take the lead in this game, and Plymouth will find a somehow, some way equaliser to get a share of the spoils. But the draw won't really help Plymouth too much as it will be that they'll say it's helpful. I don't think it will help them out too much, and I think Millwall will certainly be the happier of the two sides. Plymouth 1, Millwall 1. Sunderland versus Luton Town. It feels like Luton haven't played for ages, so they should be nice and rested and fresh, with a whole host of new players that they've been splashing the cash in to get at the end of that January window. Sunderland, my goodness, Sunderland fans, why do you do it to yourselves? It's one step forward, one step back all the time. An amazing victory away at the Riverside, one of the games of the season. They came away with a 3-2 win. You play Watford at home, you take the lead early, and you only manage to scramble away with a point. I know Isidore missed chances again in that game, but at least you have the opportunity to put that right now at home against one of the relegation strugglers, a side that struggle away from home. They usually concede a host of goals away from home. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I am going to be back in Sunderland, and I do think they're going to get a big win. I want them to win as well, because I need to keep these sides down the bottom, away from Oxford United, not picking up any points at all. And this would be wonderful if Oxford could get the win over Derby, and then Sunderland could back that up with a win over Luton as well. So let's go for a big win for the Black Cats. Come on, just get the job done. Sunderland 3, Luton 0. Swansea City versus Sheffield Wednesday.
Come on, Wednesday!
I fancy the Owls to get an away win in this game, but I am recording this as Swansea are currently 1-0 up at Bristol City with about half an hour, 20 minutes to play. So maybe I've got this one wrong, but I just fancy Danny Roll's side, particularly on the road. The way they played against West Brom, they weren't particularly good, but they're very hard to beat. They're very hard to break down, and they were the old frailties of being crappy at corners came back to haunt them at the end, but they nearly got a bit of a smash and grab point, and that has been what Wednesday have been good at away from home. Just very good in their shape, and then they pick their moments and they're quite opportunistic. And on this mud bath of a pitch that Luke Williams talks about, this impossible, crazy paving pitch that they can't possibly play football on, then I just think that Sheffield Wednesday are going to get the job done. So I'm going to go for Swansea City 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Sheffield United versus Middlesbrough. Another big game at the top of the table here. Sheffield United just about got the job done. Thankfully they did, from my point of view, over Portsmouth. They'll be scratching their head thinking, how did they get away with that one and how did they get a win? Well, I'll tell you what, just give the ball to Gus Hamer and that's all that you need to do, because he has been the shining light of recent weeks. When Sheffield United have struggled, Gus Hamer has been the man. Wonderful goal in that victory over Portsmouth. But this is a different kettle of fish against a Middlesbrough side who are a stronger outfit than Portsmouth, I think. And I think that they're going to give Sheffield United a real good go. And Sheffield United really need to be on it for this game if they're going to get anything out of it, or they're going to be turned over at Bramall Lane again. And I have a funny feeling that that's going to happen. I just feel Middlesbrough still smarting from that defeat against Sunderland, which was such an open game, such a back and forth game. It could have gone either way, but Middlesbrough came out on the wrong side of it, and I think they're going to want to put that right. And I think if Sheffield United are just being lacklustre, disjointed, and I just fancy Middlesbrough to just go there and turn them over, I think it's going to be the shock of the weekend here. And I think it's going to be Sheffield United 1, Middlesbrough 2. West Bromwich Albion versus Blackburn Rovers. West Bromwich Albion always seem to be the last game that I'm talking about, but it's a very different West Brom side now under Tony Mowbray. I thought they were excellent in their win over Sheffield Wednesday. They certainly created enough chances to win the game, and then they rescued it at the end with that fantastic goal, which took the roof off the Hawthorns when they thought they'd thrown it away. Late red card. In the end, after the final whistle notwithstanding, I thought it was a good, impressive victory. And a game where they played some good football as well, which is pleasing to see. I know that's been a bit of a sticking point for West Brom this season. And I fancy them in this game over Blackburn as well to get another win over a side pushing for promotion, pushing for the playoffs, I should say. And this will do a long way to cementing the Baggies in that top six. But I think it's going to be another nice, comfortable win for West Brom. Armstrong coming on, looking good with that goal for the Baggies as well. And I just think Blackburn's struggling a little bit at the moment. There's that talk of John Eustace maybe going as well. This might just be Blackburn running out of the steam as we head towards the end of this season. I just think West Brom hitting form at the right time. Let's go for a win for the Baggies. West Brom 2, Blackburn Rovers 0. That is your lot, folks, for week number 32 of this championship season. Leave your predictions down below. Let me know your thoughts down below. The transfer window has slammed shut now. So has your side done enough? Have you got enough? And will your side do what it needs to do at the end of the season? Let me know down below. And above all else, let me know how mad you feel I have been with my scores. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back very soon, hopefully to do a review of Oxford's win over Derby County. And as always, let's throw it over to Leonard Nimoy to bring us home.
My work is done here.
What do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?